Could somebody please explain to me how AddiesDive are making watches as good as they are for the low prices that they are? Truly, I want to know. Leave me a comment if you know. How are they making these watches at these sorts of prices? Hello, you're watching James. My name is James. You're watching me. And I'm talking about watches, and I'm talking about an AddiesDive watch in a style that always grabs my attention. This is definitely not a unique style to AddiesDive, and it's not even I'm talking about sort of homage styles, I'm talking about the design language of this watch. Quite a few brands have a watch that I would describe as perhaps a vintage skin divery dive watch. Okay, that's a terrible way to describe this watch. I'm not exactly sure if it has a specific name, but it's the design language of this design that always grabs my attention. And when I saw that AddiesDive had one at a super affordable price, then I just had to get a hold of one. I had to get one in hand. And it worked out really well because at about the time that I came across this watch, AddiesDive, the store on Aliexpress, reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to have one of our watches at a discount? And I said, ooh, well, there's one that's been on my wish list. Perhaps I'll buy it. And that's exactly what I did. So you will see that sponsored icon pop up, and that is because I was given a discount on this particular watch. And of course, I'm therefore going to leave some links in the description of this video that take you to the AliExpress store that I end up purchasing this one from. But I really want to try and find and really try and establish why this watch is so good at the price that it is, because I can't quite figure it. I've owned lots of different watches over the years, and some watches feel affordable, but also then are affordable. Some watches feel luxury, but they have a price tag attached to them that are luxury. And then there's some unicorns of watches where the price doesn't seem to reflect the quality of the watch. And this is one of those. Not to say that it isn't a perfect watch, but it's a really good watch, a really good locking watch, a really good feeling watch at a really low price. AddiesDive calls this one the AD2056, and they have it listed at around about 150 Australian dollars, which makes it super affordable. And it's a price range that I think is available to a lot of us. It's achievable to a lot of us. But when you think about how good quality this watch is and how well designed this watch is and how it has some features which I'm going to show to you shortly, it just surprises me. So let's stop talking and let's check out this particular watch. So this AddiesDive AD2056 is only 150 Australian dollars. And for 150 Australian dollars, you're getting a really good looking watch that is powered by a Seiko NH35. It has a ceramic bezel insert. It has BGW9 lume. It has lots of bits and pieces that come with it, including a hang tag and 200 meters of water resistance. And I struggled to understand how they make this watch that looks this good, that is put together this well for 150 Australian dollars. Wow, it's great to be in the watch world nowadays with such amazing affordable watches. But normally I do start with the dial of this watch and then talk about dimensions and things. But today I'm actually going to start with the case. It's my favorite feature of this watch. It's all brushed, but look at the shape of the case. It kind of curves down and then around, but then it curves up and under. Let me try and show it to you. It has just a really lovely case shape, all brushed in quite a nice brushing, very soft, but almost a sort of a rounded sort of, oh, I don't know, how do I describe that? Let me just show you pictures and you can just then get an understanding of what it looks like and how nicely it sort of comes up and under, creating these almost slightly smaller lugs or thinner lugs. And it then really also then creates a really nice on-wrist feel too. But let's get back to what this watch looks like, because we're not really looking at a watch like this all the time, are we? We're looking down at this, and I love this style of watch. I call it sort of that retro diver, skin diver look, and I think to me that is partly these big sword-shaped hands, but how the hour and the minutes sort of look on the dial. This is certainly not a unique style watch. There's a lot of watches that look a lot like this, and I'm sure this one's taking some heavy inspiration from other watches, but I'm okay with that because it's a good looking watch. It has a matte black dial. Everything on that dial is printed either in white or in lume. The AddiesDive logo, AddiesDive Automatic 200. Those big shaped sword hands are polished, lots of lume inside them, and it has a ceramic bezel insert, which again is a little bit surprising at this price category. But one thing that probably is lacking a little bit, which does tend to be lacking a little bit with the super affordable watches, is lume. So Let's check out the lume on this one. Now the camera is showing the lume on this really well. It looks brilliant. In real life, it actually looks okay. And I'm not going to say that I expect this one to last throughout the night. I've actually tested it once and it was okay. This is an affordable watch. It has affordable lume, but if you know me and my channel, you'll know I like lume, but it's not really a breaking factor for me. It's not a reason why I buy a watch. It's just a nice thing to have. And as you can see, I think that's performing quite well, especially at this price range. And we look at the crystal of this one, it has a bit of a retro look to it as well. A domed sapphire. I don't believe it's double domed because there is a little bit of distortion at the edges, but it looks quite cool. But what I didn't expect was it to be sapphire. So that's nice. I quite like the bezel side or the grip of the bezel as well. It's really nice to grab onto, nice to feel, and surprisingly, has a nice bezel action. No back play whatsoever, and just a really nice play to it. Doesn't feel like it's loose, doesn't feel like it's stiff, just has a very nice action. And I think it even lines up. But something that I think a lot of people are going to like about this watch is the dimensions, because the case is 40.1 millimeters. It is 13.5 millimeters thick. It has a lug-to-lug of 45.5, but it does have male end links, making it 52.4 millimeters. And we're going to talk about them a little bit more later. Lug width of 20 millimeters, and a fair bit of taper on that bracelet too, all the way down to the clasp at 15.7 millimeters. And with all the links still in the bracelet, this watch comes in at 147.8 grams. Now I've always shown you around that case because I love the case. I think that looks brilliant. All brushed, all brushed. The bracelet is also all brushed, has that really nice taper to it. It is actually really quite pleasant. It is a push pin design though. The clasp is one of those slightly smaller clasps. It reminds me a little bit of an Oris actually, which I actually don't mind. All milled inside, plenty of micro adjust. But there is one big problem with this bracelet, or the solid end link, I think. Look at how that is sitting and where that is sitting. Look where the case ends and where that sits. It does then create a bit of a weird look when wearing this one on wrist. And it's a shame because that there is probably the only negative I've found on this watch so far. It has the sort of standard AddiesDive case back there with their logo. It has a signed crown, which is screw down. Because this one has the Seiko NH35, it does have hand winding, but it also does have a ghost position, but it also does have hacking. Now, I always like to see Seiko movements on my time grapher. The more I see, the more I understand how they are performing, and they usually perform pretty well. Let's see how this one's performing. These Seiko movements always surprise me, and surprise me in a good way. 21,600 vibrations per hour, virtually no beat error, nice healthy amplitude, running pretty much dead on. This is why I continue to say that these Seiko movements are my favorite in affordable watches. That dramatic taper on the bracelet is really nice, but those end links just sit strangely, which is why I haven't been wearing this watch on this bracelet. But because it doesn't come with any other strap choice, I wanted to show you it with the bracelet that it comes with. It does sit down really nicely on the wrist, however, but that is just a weird choice. It almost feels like it was an afterthought, or perhaps a different end link from a different watch. And it really is only one of two things that I can point to with this watch that aren't my favorites, because what do I like about it, what don't I like about it, and what would I change? Well, I like the look, I like the quality, I love that case, love those hands. That's a big sort of plus for me. I love these style of hands, and I do like Seiko movements, especially for a watch that is a price range like this. Really impressed that the bracelet is actually improving with these guys and having milled clasps. However, that end link kind of ruins the experience on this bracelet, which is a shame. And I would like to change out the Seiko NH35 for a NH38. It always does make it a little bit nicer having a no date watch with a no date movement. And I guess whilst you're there at AddiesDive, you could actually then put screw links, possibly work on an on-the-fly adjustment. But this is actually such a small clasp that I don't think that would work. And I think this clasp actually works really nice with this bracelet. It's just a shame that I haven't been able to use it, or have chosen not to use it because of those end links. But overall, as a package, this is a rather impressive watch, and I'm really glad to now have this one in my collection. Thanks guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. Maybe check out these two videos next.